and welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the Champions League. And believe me guys, this is a big one because of all the games Barca are going to play in the group stage this campaign. I think this one right here, this is the biggest test for us. Porto away, that is what awaits us, and we have to rise to the challenge. We have to take it upon ourselves here to prove that we can compete, and this is a game that really will tell us where we are, how we're progressing right now with the team that we have. And today we're going to be focusing on exactly what is to come, including Xavi's all-important lineup, and on a very important occasion, guys, let's kick off with a big announcement for the channel. Now today's video is coming to you courtesy, guys, of a brand new sponsor on the channel. Welcoming here today NordVPN, who are not only the fastest VPN on the planet, which is useful for instance if you're heading off on holiday but you still want to be able to enjoy the same content that you would at home free from any restrictions. NordVPN will have you covered at the click of a button. But there's also, guys, the very important matter here of online security. When you think about the amount of time that we all spend online these days and the amount of our data that is out there, oh boy, particularly when using things like public Wi-Fi, one thing is clear, we need protecting. So think about NordVPN as your very own personal Ronald Araujo. NordVPN is going to be there every step of the way to handle every threat and stop it at source. And if you would like to check out the magic of NordVPN for yourself, and I really do believe, guys, this is an important and helpful tool for you, simply click the link in the description down below. That will take you there to the risk-free 30-day NordVPN money-back guarantee. That is an exclusive TalkFCB offer. So check that out now and keep yourself protected, guys. And a big thank you for all of your support. Because, okay, guys, let me just reiterate here, this is a challenge for us. And what I would actually say about that is, I think it's a welcomed one. I think we want to actually be tested in the Champions League, because against Antwerp, Barca kicked off their Champions League campaign perfectly. It was great football, it was great goals, everything was all good, but I think we all want to see where we are in terms of the teams that we come up against, how we handle ourselves, especially away from home and also in big atmospheres as well. And I think Porto, they do present that challenge, because when you're looking right here at Group H right now, I think each team there, they're going to present their own challenges, but I think when it comes down to it, we are going to be battling Porto for that top spot, and they got off the mark perfectly away at Shakhtar. Really good win for them on match day 1, and that really does set this game up quite perfectly, because I think, guys, topping the group, it's really important here for Barca, not only in terms of getting through to the knockout stage, and then of course you give yourself a better chance usually of a better draw in the round of 16, but I think it's all about sending out that message and showing ultimately that we are ready to be a force again in this competition, and that we can hurt teams away from home and at home. And that is the big thing for me. We have to do better in away matches, because I think so often over the past few seasons of the Champions League, Barca, when they've gone away from home against a tricky team, and even in the Europa League as well, we haven't performed. We haven't managed to stand up. We haven't managed to handle ourselves and ultimately show the best version of ourselves. This is a chance for us here. Porto, they're a top team, they're a quality side, and we have to show what we can do on Wednesday night. Because when you are looking at our opponents, Porto, first of all, they have had a very solid start to the season. They are currently third there in the Portuguese top division, just behind Sporting and Benfica. And to be fair to Porto, they'd actually been on a really good run. They'd been relatively unbeaten throughout the course of the season so far, in some good form, aside from their games against Benfica, their big rivals Benfica, the team that they'd want to beat. And at the weekend, it was Angel Di Maria, yet again, on the big occasion, on the big stage in finals and big important matches. He's always there, isn't he? Di Maria, he left Porto deflated and defeated, and you do wonder, will that have a knock-on effect there? Will there be any hangover from that weekend defeat to their big rivals for Porto on Wednesday? Because speaking of that Porto-Benfica rivalry, it is a big one, and we do have some of that in our own team, because João Cancelo, he actually started his career at Benfica. He returns to Portugal on Wednesday after making quite an incredible start to his Barca career. And I think it's quite extraordinary, really, when you're looking at Cancelo's start to his time at Barca, the sheer number of games that he's played now, because he played the full 90 against Sevilla on Friday, and that makes it there 5 games in less than 2 weeks for João Cancelo. Absolutely unbelievable. And it has been reported since, guys, because we've all been wondering there, should he rest? Does he need to rest? Are we running risk here of injury? But apparently Barca did consider resting Cancelo against Sevilla, but the club apparently uses there a fatigue monitoring tool to assess injury risk, and the data apparently said Cancelo's fine. The guy is a machine. He is okay to go, and I would expect him again to be involved tomorrow. And then there's João Félix too, because he also happens to be a former Benfica player. That was, of course, the club where he burst onto the scene, burst onto the European scene as well, and became one of the biggest prospects in the game. And of course, since leaving Portugal, João Félix's career may not have developed quite as it was expected just yet, but I think, as always, and especially in Europe too, that leaves him with that point to prove. And I think it's going to be interesting to watch João Félix here, because he had an electric start to his Barca career. He got off the mark so quickly, he was fitting in so well really early on. Now, in the last 2 games, he has just dropped off a little. You know, it hasn't been all smooth sailing. He hasn't been maybe as effective as he was. He's come off early in those last 2 games, but I do expect the best of him here. I do expect João Félix to come again with the quality and the talent that he has. It will re-emerge, and it will be in the big competitions. But of course, ahead of this game, guys, we do have several injury problems to contend with. Barca are without Pedri, Frenkie de Jong, and now Rafinha. Those are 3 key absences from Xavi's team, and players that you'd want available in a game like this. But as you can see right there, Porto, they've kind of got problems of their own too. They have several injury concerns heading into this game. Key players for them too. So both sides here aren't really at their strongest. Who can prepare the best lineup? Who can really rise to the occasion on Wednesday? And I think that's why it's really, really intriguing and important when you're looking at Xavi's starting lineup, because I think it's fascinating, because it's actually the first time in a little while here that we've had a good amount of rest coming into this game. You look at it right now, we played on Friday. This game is on Wednesday. That is actually not too far away from a whole week in between a game, which is unheard of late. Barca here have had time to get themselves ready, to recover the players, to recover that energy and the intensity that we will need to bring. And I think as well here, we're not thinking about rotation. That is not entering the mind right now. This is a big game. It's an important game in the Champions League. And this is one of the first times of late that Xavi, he's got to field his best team. He has to look at what he's got, look at the players that he has available, and think, okay, what is the absolute best lineup that I can field? And that is our next question. Because for me, there are 2 alternative lineups that Xavi could turn to against Porto. You know, when we have injuries, it's not as though we can call upon every player that we have and make every decision for Xavi difficult. You know, some are more straightforward than others, but there's 2 different shapes here that we could opt for. This right here is number 1. You've got Ter Stegen, you've got Cancelo and Balde there as the fullbacks in a back 4. Then centre-back, though, would be a big call, because suddenly now you've got to choose between Koundé, Christensen, and Araujo. Now, if you're only going to field 2 of those, which 2 are you going to go with? Would you actually stick right now with Koundé and Christensen, as we've seen for much of the season so far? But you kind of imagine that Araujo would have to come in a big game. So that will be a big, big call for Xavi. In midfield, if you're going to go with 3, it will be very, very clear. Romeo, Gavi, and Gundogan. And then the front 3 as well is pretty simple to pick 2. That would be Lamine Yamal, that would be Lewandowski, and that would be João Félix from the left-hand side. So that there would be effectively a 4-3-3 formation, which is one of Xavi's options. However, there is the option of another as well, and it's all really based around those defensive options that you do have, because you have the options now of Koundé, of Christensen, of Araujo, 3 incredible centre-backs, top quality players. Could you play them all along the back line and actually work those fullbacks there into a midfield shape? So line up there with a back 3 of centre-backs, push Cancelo and Balde into midfield, drop Romeo, so you'd have then Cancelo as an inverted player. Of course, we've seen him do that very, very well. Gavi and Gundogan. Balde, of course, is going to dominate that left-hand side, and then you stick with the same front 3. You've got the genius, the creativity of Yamal. You've got Lewandowski leading the line, and hopefully then you get players players around him, and then you'd have João Félix on the left-hand side, which I think would be a really, really intriguing and actually bold choice there to go with something a little bit different to sort of mix things up, given the fact that we do have a few injuries in midfield. We don't have the kind of quality and the kind of depth that we want in that area. And I would also say, guys, has Fermin Lopez yet again got a part to play in this game? I think he's been so effective when called upon, and the technical quality that he's showed over the past 2 games when he's had the chance, he would be right there for me. He would be on the verge of making this team. But I just want to know, guys, what shape would you line up with there? And if you're going to go with only 2 centre-backs, who makes it? That is the big, big question right now. Koundé, Araujo, Christensen, what duo would you go with? Or would you line up with all 3? Would you switch things up? Would you push those fullbacks on? Let me know your choices in the comments down below. Because I do think it's interesting, guys, when you're looking here at the predictions ahead of this one, because there is a lot of confidence. I don't think Barca of late have been the same breathtaking quality that we saw maybe a few games ago, but there's still a belief that we can do this. There's still a belief here that we have the players to go to Porto, to get the win, to show what we can do, and actually put on a good European away performance. That is what we're all craving. That is what we're all crying out for right now. Let's show what we can do. Let's stand up on a big European night. Because you've got to build momentum. We have to show ourselves again that we can do it, so that we can have that belief, so we can take that on with us as this competition progresses. Let me know your score predictions down below. Please do, like I say, guys, check out NordVPN. Big, big help that would be to the channel. Thank you indeed for your support. Let's get ready for this one. Let's enjoy the Champions League. And I'll see you tomorrow when it is all over. And hopefully we can be celebrating. But until next time, guys, as always, Visca, El Barça.